I mean, think about it, people. How else is Auntie going to explain away the lawsuit or Auntie's behavior while my mom was in the hospital, or the crime she committed in her viewpoint to whatever, except to cast blame elsewhere. And elsewhere means trying to make it that my mother never wanted to strip Auntie of power, and that my cousin and I, coerced my mother into doing that or whatnot. Blatantly lie, in other words. I'm smart enough to read between the lines. I'm smart enough to know what's going on here, especially when I get it from the horse's mouth. When I hear it from my mother, when I'm talking about how she felt about Auntie in this, and I didn't mean it. Basically, my mother's saying everything she did against Auntie over the summer, my mother didn't mean any of it. So let's think, how does Auntie plan to explain away her bad behavior or everything, how my mom felt about Auntie, or why my mother stripped Auntie of all the power, even why Auntie, lied to the hospital staff, didn't tell them up front, that she really was no longer my mother's healthcare proxy, that my mother had stripped her of that meant to have that power, or et cetera, or, trying to gain access, financial power over my mother, while my mother was deemed incompetent, locked up in the mental hospital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, that's an easy one to answer. As usual, she's going to smear my name and cast blame upon me. She doesn't want me to be present in that courtroom any more than my mother wants me to be present. That's tough fucking shit. This is my mother. And I have to be damned if I'm just going to not be present while they smear my name left and right, or even while elder services. I don't know what anybody's up to. I just know that it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'm the only one telling the truth. My mother's terrified. Yeah, Mom, Auntie visited you in the hospital. Auntie showed you love. Auntie's telling you that if you have a stranger or whatever, because I was like, what, do you want to be a stranger? What does it matter to me, Mom? Of course I don't want a stranger if they really, these scare tactics that Uncle used, saying that they plan to take all your money and take your house, and Mother was like, okay, that's ridiculous. Where is she going to go if they take her house? They sell her. I mean, everything they're saying is just ridiculous. I'm not saying there can't be a grain of truth in it, but again, regardless, if all these people intend to smear my name left and right, including elder services and Auntie's lawyer and whatnot, or whatever, I have a right to be present. I told you what happened that last time at that meeting with the advocate and the social worker, months ago. That Auntie went to that meeting, and that's when I had my falling out with that advocate, because she didn't even, I wasn't even brought up. It's like I didn't even exist. I wasn't even brought up at that meeting. Nothing. Nothing. It wasn't even brought up that Auntie's saying I destroyed my mom's house, and these two people who were present and know the one I was calling every day, and then she was calling the social worker every day saying what my mom was doing in her own house. It was like I didn't even exist, okay? I'll be damned if I'm going to have that happen again, okay? Despite what my entire fucking family wants to believe to the contrary. I am my mother's child, and I am not her child that she has disowned. My God, one of the things she did when Auntie was it's all bullshit, okay? Nobody forced my mother into anything. My mother's just brainwashed. I'm tired of this feud between you and Auntie. Mom, you had had enough this past summer. It was all your idea. Nobody forced you into anything. I'm her child. Period. No matter how much my so-called family, I'm sorry, my mother's family, wants to, believe to the contrary, I am her child. Okay? And I have remained a part of her life all these years. She chose to have me live with her for over a year. She loved having me here. Did we fight? Of course. All parents and children fight. But there was still always constant love there, And I built her up. I built up her self-esteem. I tried to, help her be a better person. I wanted to build her up. I wanted to not have her at that age. I'm thinking if you're just going to slip into just apathy or just lying on the couch or just, and I tried to stimulate her mind, all this crap, I'm like, if she's like this in her 60s, what's she's going to be like when she's older, I tried to build her up. Again, like Jeff says, people are going to lie about you. People lie about other people all the time. I'm not stating for 1 second I can prevent anyone in that courtroom. Anyone, including anyone from lying through their teeth about me. But I sure as fuck have every right to be present and experience it and hear it firsthand, Because this is all a fucking joke. Even my mother parroting now, I didn't mean it. She's basically saying everything she did over the summer she didn't mean. Yeah, you did. It's one thing if you don't feel that way now, it's your prerogative. But you sure as fuck meant it then. You did it. Nobody forced you. Certainly no one forced you to write a letter to cousin saying you wished, Auntie had died instead of the other sisters that had died, or that you never hated anyone more, etc., etc. That's in her own writing. No one fucking forced her. She showed me that after she'd already sent it off to cousin. Everything was my mother's idea. Everything she did, everything she wanted to do. Even stealing, in quotations, her own money and opening up the secret bank account and getting that cash because Auntie had taken the credit card away because my mother wanted to have cousin come here. My mother's shitload of money. She has every right to have her niece here if she wants to. Doesn't matter if Auntie doesn't like that niece. It's not up to Auntie to decide who my mother can be friends with, or what family member my mother can talk to, etc., etc., etc. It's not up to Auntie to decide that. I said to one of the free lawyers I saw at the courthouse, you know, my aunt doesn't own my mentally ill mother, despite what my aunt thinks to the contrary or believes to the contrary. And I'm tired of my aunt thinking she does own my mother. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen in that courtroom. All I know is I'm not gonna not be present while these people are smearing my name and casting blame upon me and acting like I forced my mom into all this crap that I didn't force her into anything. It was all her fucking idea. All of it. All of it. She was livid when Auntie took that credit card away. When she wasn't good, and she'd have to beg Auntie for every fucking penny from now on. When she just reigned in the power over my mother, okay? I was in the fucking shelter when my mother called me and told me she'd figured out, because Auntie had taken away the credit card, but my mom. And last time my mom was in the hospital, Auntie wasn't allowing my mom to have any cash either, but the social worker and the advocate got involved, and Auntie was going to give my mom a small amount of cash every month in a form of a check for like $25 or some small thing, because, you know, you need cash just to go on the bus or something. It was ridiculous. She wasn't going to let her have any cash at all, but she would at least let her have the credit card. My mom had the brilliant idea she could change $25 to $250. She could even change it to $2,500 if she wanted to. She was all giddy over how she'd figured this out. I was in the fucking shelter when my mom called me up about that brilliant idea. Okay? This is when she still had the crib, but then when Auntie's going to take the freaking credit card away and my mom's literally going to have to beg Auntie for every fucking penny, my mother had enough. That was when my mother got the idea to steal, in quotations, her own money from their joint account. Wasn't my idea, and I never imagined my mom would have the balls to do it. After she decided to do it, did I help her? Yeah. The plan was to Western Union the money to my bank account. Remember, I don't work. I can come here. I can go back and forth the next day. My mother stole some of her money when I was here. She did some grocery shopping or something. But then the next day, what happened? I think I went and back to the shelter and while I was doing that, my mom was doing the Western Union thing. I don't know. But regardless, I went then I wasn't able to access the money. My mom wound up getting it back. She wound up storing it at a friend's house because remember she was afraid that Auntie was going to find out. And the bank did wind up calling Auntie. You know? And then the subsequent phony 911 call, etc., etc., etc. And it all snowballed, and then my mom had enough. She got a lawyer. She'd had enough, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so she can say all she wants. She didn't mean it, etc., etc. It's all bullshit, you know. And whatever, because if it does go to court. Like I told him, it's not going to be up to Auntie. It's not going to be up to it's going to be up to a judge. It's not going to be up to anybody except for a judge. Doesn't matter what my mother wants. It's going to be up to a judge to decide.